All right, I think we're live. Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Good morning. We're really excited. Inspire was this week, and holy smokes, just like every year, ton of announcements, ton of news, ton of updates, tons of sessions to watch. So my name is Matt Sosman, CTO of Partner Masters. For those who don't know me, got Justin Sligo here, CEO of Partner Masters. Both of us former Microsoft. And we've been doing Inspire. Justin, how long have we been going to Inspire and watching sessions?
Well, this was my 15th Inspire. But Matt, like you dove in, like you decided that this was not going to be like a virtual event. Like you actually went out and probably got I don't know, you got ill. So we were even debating how we could do this. It was like you went to an after party or something in an Inspire virtual world. But congratulations to you for going out and making it like a real one.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm kind of recovering from a cold, but yeah, this year was it was virtual. Last few years have been virtual. It's not like what it used to be, where you would go to an in-person conference. And I mean, Justin, we used to spend majority of our time in the expo hall, networking with partners and going around to booths. You know, sometimes you go to sessions, but it was mostly networking, going to dinners.
Yep.
But now with the virtual experience, I mean, it's different. But there was a lot of sessions, and we've been watching. In fact, our company, we took off the last 3 days, actually Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, to consume all the content. We started with Modern Work Pre-Day, and then we jumped into Inspire. Maybe we start with what we learned at Modern Work Pre-Day.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It is a totally different event, and there's so much great content that's there. A lot of times we miss out on it when we're in person, because we are doing expo, we're doing one-on-one, which I think there's a ton of value in doing those things. But there's a lot of value in sessions that we now get that we probably weren't getting before. So, yeah, what was your favorite thing about the pre-day?
Well, the funny thing, my favorite part was, for those of you out there that maybe you know or don't know, the old MCI workshop program that's being transitioned to MCI pilots. Now in the incentives guide that Microsoft published about a month ago, it's a preview of the incentives guide. They mentioned that the pilots will be for managed partners only. However, in almost every Modern Work pre-day session, that question came up from partners. Hey, is this only for managed partners, or is it going to be open for everybody else? And it sounds like it may be open, and that they're going to go back and make some changes or do whatever they're going to do. But based on the speakers for each of those sessions where those questions were asked, it sounds like they may be lifting that requirement. I don't know. We'll see, right? Anything could happen in the world of Microsoft. But that was probably my favorite thing, because the pilots, and we could talk about it, but the pilots are pretty amazing. Just like the workshops, I think they drive a ton of value for partners. I think they drive a ton of value for customers. But what was your favorite thing? What'd you get out of it?
I agree with you, and I'd love to dive in a little bit more into pilots, because we've been working with a lot of our partners on the value of the workshops, which it sounds like also the workshops are not going away. Just the funding is going away.
Right.
But even in the case of a lot of our partners who are working in more of the SMB space, the funding wasn't there for those customers. Even in the smaller end of SMC, the customers didn't qualify. But there's so much value in the workshops going out and creating opportunities. I think the good news is that they're still there. But then the pilots, I know you're really excited about helping our partners with pilots, because it actually gets the customer using the software, and maybe using 25 licenses of Teams Voice or something, which then can lead to something bigger. Right. But I'm really excited that the workshops are like, the content's still going to be there. And if they do take it away, at least we downloaded them all, so at least we can help our partners with those. Right. But yeah, I think there was some really good stuff. I mean, of course, both the pre-day and full Inspire, we expected to hear a lot about AI, and boy did we. I think AI is, it was probably 90% of everything. There were a couple things, going even into the main Inspire event. Like the one that kind of caught me off guard was the renaming of the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program to the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. Yeah. So I wasn't expecting that. But I mean, talk about going all in. If you're going to rename the partner program to AI, because everything AI is infused in every single product. And when I think back, like, the keynote was definitely the highlight, and it usually is, right? The keynote Satya and Judson and all the leadership team coming out and talking. But this one, what's really interesting is, Matt, over all my time, when we would have Inspire, and then we'd have MGX, or whatever internal Microsoft sales conference was called at the time. Like, our stock didn't always do great this time of year.
Right.
It was like Amy Hood would come on, and a lot of times it was, hey, let me talk about what happened. But this time, I don't know if any of you were watching the stock as Satya was talking, but the stock just skyrocketed. I mean, it was a hockey stick like I've never seen with Microsoft before. So, but a lot of that, I think they released the pricing as Satya went on stage for Copilot, which that's probably the biggest announcement that came out of this whole thing was, hey, Copilot's real. Copilot's coming to market. Copilot's going to be $30 a month per user. So I've been reading a lot about different partners saying, hey, $30 is too much. I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Matt? What do you think about $30 for Copilot?
I actually think it's rather cheap, and I'll probably get some flack for this. But when you look at ChatGPT and you look at the premium version of ChatGPT, I need to go look at the pricing. But $30 for Copilot's a lot cheaper than the premium version of ChatGPT. And so I think it's all relative. The other thing I thought was pretty interesting too was it doesn't require E5. For a long time, a lot of the premium Microsoft features and capabilities require E5. This even works with Business Premium. I think it was even Business Standard was part of that announcement too. So I'm looking at it from a lens of, how does it compare to other services out there in the industry like ChatGPT? I'm pretty excited about it. Now, again, it's still kind of in preview. We need to see more, and I'm sure we will coming up at Ignite later this fall. But that was very interesting. The other interesting thing was Bing Chat Enterprise.
Yeah. Which that didn't take you very long to turn on for us internally.
No, it was like 2 clicks. We just like when he was talking about it on stage, I just started poking around and I found it and I turned it on and we played with it a little bit. The Bing Chat Enterprise is pretty interesting. Now, if I remember right, and I got to go find the news article here about it, but that's also available for E5, E3, Business Premium, Business Standard, and I think you could also have it as a standalone. I think they said it was like $5 or something like that. But the cool part about Bing Chat Enterprise was, if you put things into ChatGPT, it's used to train the model. And so if you put proprietary information there, it's now going to be out there made on the public internet. Whereas Bing Chat Enterprise, it's closed to just you and your organization. So there was a lot of interesting things that they showed around that and talked around that. But yeah, that was a big announcement, Bing Chat Enterprise. I'll put a link in the chat window for everybody watching. You go out and read about it a little bit.
I agree. When they started talking about that, it was, well, they actually they started talking about that before they released the pricing. So I was wondering if that's why the stock was going up was because of that announcement. Because to me, that's huge. If Microsoft really wants to compete against Google, I mean, obviously when they had the ChatGPT integration, it was like, oh, okay, cool. So now we've got chat and we're kind of a ChatGPT inside of Bing, but then a lot of people got scared to use it. And I remember you and I were at Microsoft at the time, and I remember They were even sending emails out to developers, do not put our code into this, into this chat. But now they can, right? Now they've got an opportunity where they can actually put in their code, ask the ChatGPT, the internal enterprise version, hey, what can I do to make my code better? So to me, I thought that was huge, because that could create a nice market shift for Microsoft in the Bing versus Google space.
Absolutely.
They also talked about that the ChatGPT version or Bing Enterprise Search will do pictures now. In fact, I even think just the regular Bing without the enterprise will now do picture search. I haven't tried it yet. Have you tried it?
I have not tried it yet.
Yeah, I want to give that a shot. But yeah, so there were those big announcements during the keynote. We kind of come back to that, but go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say on that note, you found something that was pretty interesting. We could come back to it, but it was Vision Studio.
No, that's exactly where I was going.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I found this session. It was in my backpack about where Microsoft is going with Vision AI, and I I mean I didn't know what to expect with this session, and it was really like the developers behind this Vision Studio, and Matt just put a link in for everybody. But you guys got to go check this out. This like it's phenomenal, and I even asked this team that was there, is there going to be training for partners on how to do this? And they were like, I don't really, just go to the link, just try it out. You'll see, like it's like a WYSIWYG. Like you just go in there and you just click some stuff. And so we went in and tried it. And a lot of times, whenever and you taught me, Matt, on YouTube videos, like, hey, just take a picture, remove your background. We went to this website to remove the background. Like now, you can do HD pictures. You put your pictures in here, remove the video. It can identify, hey, somebody's holding something. Hey, what is this picture of? Like they showed an example during the presentation of, it was actually a video, and it's like, hey, there's a cheetah on a hill, then there's a car coming in, there's a person inside the car, and it was pretty phenomenal, the things that it was showcasing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, there's the cool part is you don't have to write any code. Like it just works. You just hook it up to your Azure subscription, which is what we had to do, and then we start using it. So you can extract text from images, remove background from images. You can add captions. But one of the cool things that I thought was pretty interesting was spatial analysis. You and I even talked about this a little bit. You can count the number of like human bodies in an area. You can see if people cross a line, some kind of virtual line in the video. You can see when they enter and exit a different zone in the picture or in the video. I mean, we started even talking about, situations like active shooter and safety and that kind of thing. Like this is pretty interesting. And then I was poking around. There's another one where it can detect up to 200,000 celebrities in images. So you can do like a celebrity search in images. There's image analysis I'm looking at right now where you can tell it extract sensitive content from images. It's amazing. For anybody watching, there's a link there on the window. Please go out there and just try it. Like you're going to be impressed. And then Inspire session, when we were watching this, he was going through the demo. It's just like, wow, this is it, right?
Well, there was even like they gave a retail example, and they showed, and what was cool was like you could type in anything and say, hey, look for this thing to happen, and it was like they put in like milk spill, and it was like, oh, this, and then you go directly to the point in the video, which was hours long, to the point where somebody spilled milk on the floor, and it was like, oh, what happened? So you can watch what happened. You can watch how the team came in and how long it took the team to clean it up. But I mean, imagine like in a retail environment, like you're going to be able to see high traffic areas because you can count how many people go into different aisles. Imagine like, hey, there's 10 people in line to check out, and now you've got this vision that can capture and just send off alerts and say, hey, there's too many people in line. You need to open up a new register. So all of this stuff is now all just built in. Like that's the crazy thing right now is like there's no code needed. And they in this particular case they had an API available, right? And like you said, like you went in and applied for.
I signed up for it,
right? What was it like to sign up for the API?
You had to answer some questions like what's your use cases, what how do you intend to use it, what kind of languages do you develop in, just some standard stuff. But Microsoft really want to know like how are you going to use this stuff. So there's a few sessions I attended. It was mostly Q&A, but it was feedback from the engineering team. So the engineering team would get on the line and say, hey, tell us how you're using this stuff. And it was kind of interesting. People would come off mute and explain what kind of applications they built and what kind of use cases that they're coming up with. And it was really, really interesting. So Vision Studio, definitely check it out. Oscar here in the chat window, talks about something like imagine finding guns in a live event. Yeah, absolutely. Imagine if you just have live video and you look for guns, you can look for anything. Think about like shoplifting. It's amazing. And so now that this stuff is starting to come out and it's starting to be widely available, I think huge partner opportunity, right? And we're the partner masters. We're focused on partners. So I got to put a plug in here for how do you make money with this stuff. Look, if you're an ISV, bake this into your app. If you're a services partner, there's a ton of opportunity to probably go out and do professional services, consulting on this, be able to help your customer. I mean, this is digitally transforming at its finest. Huge opportunity though, right? And Microsoft also made an announcement. I'll put a link in the window here for the ISV Success program. So
Yep.
that's been in preview. They went live with it during Inspire, where it's now generally available. And so the ISV Success program is for software vendors in this case, and maybe want to use Vision Studio or want to go develop AI services. The ISV Success program is a way to go through that motion. And they actually give you funding for Azure credits. They give you, I'm looking at the article right now, you get up to $126,000 of benefits, guidance, and resources for a full year to build your well-architected apps across our cloud. So this is Microsoft making investments and partners to go out and build services on things like Vision Studio and AI and Copilot. So if you haven't heard of the ISV Success program, go out there and take a look. It's been around for a little bit, but now it's generally available.
And so this is so cool, right? I mean, we've even leveraged ISV Success in preview with a few of our partners. It's kind of an easy button, right? If you're going to go out and like you want to be a partner to Microsoft, hey, this is a way you can go get free software to run your business, right? Because they moved away from, hey, you can join and like it's so easy, and then we even work with a lot of partners on, okay, we'll do this and this and this, and we can help them get to their maybe modern work or infrastructure. And sometimes it takes a little while. But here you just go sign up. You get free Microsoft 365. You get Azure credits. And then the key is you can even start posting to the marketplace immediately, which I think that's pretty incredible.
That's amazing. Well, we heard a lot. We'll come back to it, but we heard a lot about how it's going to be the year of the marketplace. I think that's kind of interesting. But yeah, just to kind of wrap up this, I'm also looking at the article. If you're an eligible partner, you can get access for additional cloud credits and up to 50 hours of business and technical consultation with Microsoft, up to 50 hours.
Wow.
After your first year in the program, you can earn ongoing discounted benefits. Yeah, it's quite amazing. So take a look at it.
Well, do you remember what they said to continue the program, the requirement?
No, I don't remember.
You just have to have one co-sell ready solution. So within that first year, if you just go in and create one co-sell ready solution, you can extend it.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So a lot of really cool stuff here. I don't even think people necessarily understand how big this is. If you're just getting started in the Microsoft world, or if you're a partner who maybe you've been in the world, but hey, I want to get something quick up into the marketplace. I want people to know what we do. This is your easy button.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, not just notify customers of what you do, also notify Microsoft of what you do. And maybe we talk about the year of the marketplace a little bit. There's a lot of sessions on it. They talked a lot about marketplace. Marketplace was originally intended for ISVs to transact with their apps. Now it's starting to get a little bit more services partner friendly. But to your point though, by putting your solution in marketplace, you're telling Microsoft what you do, and that way you're becoming visible to Microsoft and visible to customers. So ISV Success program, that could be a great way to do that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that year of the marketplace. I mean, that's something like you said, like Microsoft created the app source specifically and really Azure marketplace. I mean, there's so many marketplaces. We hear people say, oh, well, there's only, the Microsoft marketplace, but when you talk about marketplace, look, there's app source, there's Azure marketplace, there's the team store, there's a Bing marketplace, there's a Windows store. So marketplace is so many different things, but typically in the world of partner, like the two main sources are App Source and Azure Marketplace, which mostly were created for ISVs. Right. But Microsoft also now uses it for how do we see which services our consulting partners, our SIs and our MSPs, what type of solutions do they have as well? Now, you actually just did a great post on co-selling, and co-selling is not just with the field. And so the idea here is, hey, go get your solutions in the marketplace. You want to talk a little bit about what you just posted in your blog?
Yeah. So if you're just tuning in, and maybe you don't know, Justin and I spent 11 years at Microsoft. Justin spent a little over 10 years at Microsoft. Different roles, different organizations, and so we have a lot of experience around partner, right? But one of the interesting things about marketplace is a lot of people think it's just for ISVs. And you're not wrong, but it's also changed, right? So when you think about just for ISVs, and I'll put a link here in the chat window, When you think about it being just for ISVs, well, if you have software, sure, you want to put it in marketplace so people can buy it within Microsoft 365 or buy it within Azure and within the portal. But if you're a consulting provider, you also want to put your solutions in there. So why would you want to do that? Well, sure, customers can find you via marketplace. It's available publicly, but it's more around Microsoft knowing who you are. I mean, look, if you're a registered partner now in the Microsoft Cloud AI Partner Program, that's great. If you have a solution designation, that's great. But you're also in a sea of 400,000 other partners. And so by getting a solution in marketplace, you become visible to Microsoft, and co-sell with the Microsoft field sellers is just one type of co-selling, as we say. There's also co-selling with the corporate teams, the marketing teams, the engineering teams, the business groups, the partner teams. And so when you think about those teams, they're out there looking at capability, capacity in the channel, and they want to understand who are the partners out there delivering services on our different products and platforms. The only way that they know that you do a service around whatever it is, Copilot, Bing Chat Enterprise, Teams Voice, the only way for Microsoft to know is with a marketplace offer. Now, the other side of this is Microsoft can't send leads to a partner. They can send leads to an offer. So there's many different reasons why you want to have an offer marketplace. So I wrote this blog. There's a link there on the screen, tpm.ms/co-sell-ready, that explains a little bit more detail. But for my services partners out there watching this, consider putting your solutions and the services you provide in the Microsoft Marketplace via Partner Center, so Microsoft knows who you are. If you don't have it in there, they don't know who you are, unfortunately. And again, you want to co-sell with more than just the field. You want the engineering and marketing teams to know you. In fact, there was partners over the years I've met where, and I wasn't even an engineering team at one point at Microsoft where I did this. The Microsoft teams would go out and look at Marketplace to find who's the best partner doing password lists, doing VMware and Azure. And they would reach out to those partners and they would get invited to, feedback sessions and roundtables and all sorts of engagement. That's what you want. So Marketplace is huge.
Well, there was
another
big announcement with Marketplace, and that was MPO, the multi-partner offer.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, so multi-party offer was huge. There's quite a few sessions on that. You want to talk about that, Justin, and what that is?
Well, the idea here is that, just like we talked about, and the other thing I guess we didn't say yet is that there is extra incentive for the Microsoft field sellers to sell IP co-sell, right? Yeah. IP, intellectual property. You're creating your own code. If more than 50% of your offer is your own IP, then Microsoft Field actually has an extra incentive to go help you close those deals. Well, in a case of the services partners, a lot of times they wouldn't have the ability to showcase, hey, we're co-selling with an ISV. Hey, we're working with Adobe. We're working with SAP. We're working with whatever other partner it might be. But now Microsoft has built it in where there can be more than one partner who's working on a single deal. And so now those services partners can get credit for co-selling with the services partners. Now, the other thing that they enabled that's part of this is that the ISVs, whenever they start co-selling, they would actually have to register their deals. And then now Microsoft has said, we're getting away from that. You don't have to register your deals anymore, but you have to make your solutions transactable in the marketplace. And as long as it's transacted in the marketplace, then the field sellers will get that extra credit for helping co-sell your solutions. They did make an intent to buy in the marketplace button available. So if you're working with a customer and there's intent to buy and they'll buy it through the marketplace, or if a Microsoft field seller is going to share a lead with you, there will be an intent to buy as they share that referral to you, say, hey, we really want the partner or the customer to buy through the marketplace. So let's make sure we do this right. So I do think that there was a lot of really great things that the team was talking about that are going to be here shortly on multi-partner offers, which we've now seen, but it's all about IP co-sell, transacting with services partners. Now, there's the interesting thing here is Matt, you and I always preach to the partners that if you're your services partner, you got to get your solution into the marketplace. But one of the common themes was that the biggest opportunity for services partners, hey, yes, let us know what your solutions are that you're building and put all those in, but make sure that you're associated to the right ISVs who are already in the marketplace so you can start transacting with them through the marketplace and get some extra credit there. Right. So big twist. And, I think Microsoft, they talked about it was like 120% growth year over year in marketplace. from what I see, I mean, there's no reason they can't do 100 or 200% growth this year with making things required to transact through marketplace.
Exactly. It's a huge opportunity. And I mean, if you think about multi-party offers, I put a link there on the screen. You can go read more about it. But this allows a services partner and an ISV to basically go partner and sell together, right? And then if that ISV solution is IP co-sell ready, to Justin's point, having code that runs in Azure, then the Microsoft field does have an extra incentive for that. We could talk more about that. We might save that for another webinar. But huge deal on multi-party offers. So if you didn't have a chance to watch that session, I highly recommend watching that. The other thing here around multi-party offers, or sorry, around just marketplace, that I think is important to mention is it sounds like that they're starting to see, Microsoft is starting to see that services partners, consulting and managed services providers are putting their solutions in the marketplace. It sounds like they're starting to evolve that, and they're starting to maybe even make some changes to make that more friendly for services partners. So I heard that a little bit in some of the sessions. So more to come on that. We'll see, you know, how that plays out. But that can be very exciting. But really, it's around helping Microsoft know what you do. So if you're a services partner, put it in the marketplace so Microsoft knows who you are, what you do, and they know how to use you. And check out that blog, and we'll talk more about it probably in a future session.
So we talked a little bit earlier. I was saying, hey, I was surprised about the new renaming of the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program to the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. I definitely want to bring up here one of the exciting things that Microsoft is now coming out with new solution designations. So I know it's been a big struggle for ISVs because it was always a little bit more difficult to become a solution designation, get their solution designation because they're selling their own software. They've got their own Azure agreement. They're going to have some new ones for learning partners and then services partners. So I'm excited to see. I haven't seen it hit Partner Center just yet, and I think they've talked about others. So we'll see what that means. But expect to see some new solution designations that everybody can go out and achieve very soon.
Yeah. So I just pulled up the announcement. I put a link here on the screen. So yeah, training services designation. They talk about the announcement. They haven't released it yet. ISV designations coming later this year, and it's support services. So that's pretty exciting. More solution designations, to your point. They also announced some new specializations. We could talk about that, of course, but there was some new specializations around building and modernize apps with Azure specializations. That's all around using, like, you know, Azure Kubernetes and Cosmos DB and AI and all that fun stuff. So that was pretty interesting. So they state here in this announcement that there's now 31 specializations in market around the Cloud Partner Program. So that's a lot of specializations. That's pretty cool, though. So we might maybe save that for a future session where we do a deeper dive into specializations, because there's a lot there. But that's exciting that they're continuously announcing and releasing new specializations. That's great.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the reality is, like we talked about, there's 400,000 Microsoft partners. Hey, if you get a specialization, or not, if you get a solution designation, like, you're really chopping it down, right? You're saying, hey, we're specialized in biz apps or Microsoft 365 or data and AI or whatever it might be, or maybe a learning partner, right? So you chop that down immediately. But then when you get the specialization, a lot of these specializations have less than 100 partners in it, right? So Microsoft really knows who to go to. And we're seeing that because when you look at the investments that they're making with the Azure Migrate and Modernization Program, or with even some of the pilots and workshops, not workshops, but pilots for this year, you must have a specialization, right? And so you can easily see that Microsoft is saying, hey, look, I mean, what they'd say is, hey, we're going deeper with a few. And so they're going deeper with a few who go through these steps. Right. And if you go through and you get the advanced specializations, it's going to take you from 1 in 400,000 to maybe 1 in 100. But now you have the opportunity where Microsoft is going to fund you. When you go talk to a customer, like, you're going to have the opportunity to say, hey, Microsoft will give us $20,000 to do a pilot for you. Hey, Microsoft will give us up to $100,000 to set up a landing zone for you, where other partners can't do that. So I think if you're not considering, if you're a partner and you're not considering getting a specialization, like you're missing out. You're missing out big time. So definitely, I'd want partners to take a look, and I think it's worth a whole nother session for us, Matt. But the other big announcement, and then I'll let you talk here. The other big announcement was that if you don't qualify for solution designations, Microsoft made the announcement that the Silver and Gold Legacy program, they will continue that forever. So if you don't qualify for solution designation, but you want to renew as a Legacy Silver or Gold partner, they're not gonna terminate that program. So I thought that was good for a lot of partners out there who are panicked that, hey, I just can't achieve it, which I might disagree with, that hey, everybody could achieve it if you're doing all the right stuff.
Right.
We help partners do that every day, and they're surprised how easy it actually is. But if you have a struggle with it, you can go back and do this. But what were you going to say, Matt?
No, it's all good. So just on this, just to wrap up the specializations, we'll do another session on, because that's probably easily an hour worth of content there. But to Justin's point, you qualify for pilots, but you also qualify for the AM program. But you also get more incentives, especially on the PAL side. So just again, if you're out there and you're watching this and you're thinking about specializations, go take a look at it in Partner Center. Go read up on it. Reach out to us. We're happy to help you with it. But it's a huge deal, right? The other thing I was going to mention is just kind of back to the general announcements here, and something that they talked about in the Modern Work pre-day was around pilots. And so there's actually a pilot for Windows 365. And there's a pilot for Teams, there's a pilot for Frontline Worker, and there's a couple pilots for some of the Viva workloads. But Windows 365 is a big deal, and that's probably another session in of itself. But this is up to $20,000. Obviously you have to qualify, right? But that's a big deal. And so when we think about specializations and we think about pilots, we think about these incentives. Look, if you're out there co-selling with the Microsoft field, sometimes it could be a little bit of a challenge to get them to go request ESIF funding. Well, you've already qualified. This comes from a different bucket. It's all ESIF, but it comes from a different bucket. So for you to be able to go to a field seller and say, hey, we've already got this covered. We already got 20 grand to go and do a Windows 365 pilot. That makes the field seller's job a lot easier. And same with the Azure AM programs and some of the other pilots out there. There's even some security things as well. So just something else to kind of consider. But the comment I was going to make, I just want to come back to it. I kind of forgot about it. But something Justin, you and I have been talking about for years has been, if you want to know where Microsoft is going, watch Inspire and then follow the money. And so clearly the investments are being made in specializations. They're being made in AI. They're being made in these pilots. The investments are being made in Copilot and Bing Enterprise. Follow the money. That's where Microsoft is going. So as a partner, you want to think about what is your business roadmap to align with Microsoft. That's where Microsoft is going. How are you going to align with that? Unfortunately, it's a cat and mouse game, right? This stuff changes every year. But I mean, that's the nature of IT and the nature of tech anyway. Things are always going to change. But I think that's an important thing. That's something you and I have been preaching for years. Just follow the money and make the same. If Microsoft's investing in that area, you probably should as well.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't even talk about it. So we've got that AMP became AM, but then they also added Azure Innovate for the AI program.
That's
where
right.
there's $100 million they're putting into that program that is going to help partners go out and incubate AI products. So that was another really big one, right? Again, another, hey, follow the money. If Microsoft's putting $100 million into a bucket, it's probably a big deal. So now they haven't released the requirements, but I'm going to guess that it probably has something to do with getting a specialization in AI. That's just going to be my guess.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that was pretty exciting to see that. So once there's more information made available, we'll digest that. We might do another blog or another session on that as well.
But there was another thing on the AM side that was pretty cool. So now it looked like they were adding in an assessment, right?
That's
so it
right.
was always about, hey, here are all the landing zones. You guys can get some funding for landing zones. But now Microsoft has a small bucket available that, hey, if you just want to go do an Azure assessment, now there's some new funding available there as well. So I'm looking forward to reading more about that one as it's released.
Yeah. Well, and on that note, they also made an announcement about Azure Migrate and now supports security.
That's right.
So that was pretty cool to hear that. And so I'll put a link here on the screen for everybody. But seeing that Azure Migrate now supports security baselines and Microsoft's making more investment into the Azure Migrate tool to support security, that's amazing. That's definitely going to resonate.
So Matt, another thing that I watched that I was pinging you back and forth was the security hackathons. So I know when you were at Microsoft, you used to run a lot of these, and it's something that you and I were talking about. Hey, maybe we start doing it at Partner Masters. I'd love to get feedback from everybody if they'd be interested in us doing that. But for Microsoft now so there was a whole session around these security hackathons that are being made available for partners. If you've got a group of people, they've got some facilitators and so forth. But you want to talk a little bit about the hackathons and what you used to do with partners?
Yeah. So when I was at Microsoft, we used to run, there are quite a few of these, but and we had a catalog of hackathons. But the whole idea is you get a group of people into a room, virtual or physical, and you give them scenarios. So on the security side, you give them scenarios of, hey, here's the symptoms, here's behaviors, go find the attacker, right? Go capture the flag. Maybe it's more offensive than defensive. Maybe it's use Defender for endpoint and spin up some virtual machines and run some attack simulations. There's all sorts of hackathons we used to do, Into the Breach, security immersion experience, all that kind of stuff. But here's the cool part. So you had everybody in a room, maybe 20, 30 people, and you split them into groups, and you'd spend most of the day doing the hackathon. But the cool part was everybody's learning because you're getting hands-on. And you give them a scenario, and you have coaches that would go around the room and kind of coach people like, hey, you're doing that wrong. You may want to try a different approach, but they wouldn't tell you the answer. But at the end of the day, everybody would present back their experience, and hey, for that particular situation or issue or scenario that you gave us, here's what we learned. Here's how we tackled it. And then everybody was learning. And so the cool part was, another cool part about that was the partners, they would eventually make what they learned in these hackathons, they make those into service offerings. So there's quite a few partners we worked with where they learned a lot in these security hackathons, and they would go create those as service offerings and go put them in Marketplace. So hackathons were great. There was even one at Microsoft we did around Power Apps at one point. If any of my old Microsoft friends are watching this, you probably know what I mean. But we did one around Power Apps where they threw all of us in a virtual room together and said, go create a Power App. Here's the requirements. We're not going to tell you how, just go do it. I don't know anything about Power Apps. And it was me and like 5 other people. So we had to go online, read all the documentation, research it. But we created a Power App, and man, we learned a lot. So that's the idea of the hackathon. So if you're interested, let us know. That might be something that we're going to start offering and starting to create. But big deal on hackathons.
Well, so you mentioned Power Apps, and our buddy Eric just posted in here. Do you have any thoughts on that? Power Apps process mining? Look, I mean, Power Apps was definitely something that this thing is getting bigger and bigger. And when we talk about automation and doing things, we're even using Power Apps internally to do a bunch of different process. But what did you think of the process mining and the new Power Apps announcements, Matt?
It's amazing. I'm looking at it right now, and I watched a few sessions on it. Here, I'll put a link in the chat window for everybody. But it's hard to explain, but it's like a GUI, and you can see all of the different processes in your business process, map it out, and then connect them, and then it goes out and builds a Power App for you on it. It's amazing. They call it low-code automation, but I watched a few sessions on it, and this thing just keeps getting better and better. 5 years ago when Power Apps got released, it was kind of rusty. Every year it gets a little bit better, but now it's literally at the point where you don't have to be a developer. You can just write a Power App. In fact, there's even Copilot for Power Apps that I've been kind of playing with a little bit. And you tell it, hey, go find all the leads that are older than 30 days in Dynamics, and it builds you a Power App and shows you all the leads that are older than 30 days in Dynamics. It's amazing. So process mining was pretty cool. The other session I watched around this was there was one on Power Automate as well, and Power BI. I'm trying to remember the details. I'll see if I can find it here.
The one that really stood out to me was in the keynote when first off, they were talking about Azure Fabric, and they were talking about pulling in like a SQL server from Azure and then a database from AWS. And then they used Copilot and process mining to build something where it just automatically put up a Power BI. Like you didn't have to do anything. It was just like, hey, combine these 2 databases. One's from AWS, one's from Azure. show me a Power BI dashboard with all the data. And I was like, holy cow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing. There was another announcement we saw yesterday. I don't know if it was related to Inspire. It might have just been a coincidence. But Microsoft has now a official backup service, a native backup service for Office 365 that they're launching to preview coming up. And so that's huge. So we're kind of excited about that. Some more to come on that. But that was an interesting announcement. I'm just looking through all my notes. I mean, again, there's so much. There was also if I remember right, wasn't there a Teams phone announcement, a Teams Essential and Teams phone announcement?
Yeah, there was. Well, that was part of the pre-day.
Yeah,
Announcing it was like a 20% discount to add on Teams phone. But I don't know if it was I have to go back and look, but I think that might have been the one where they left the US out of the discount. It was, that doesn't happen very often when Microsoft releases a cool program. Usually everybody else around the world is like, oh, US gets everything. But I think this was one where it might have been. So we just have to go check on it and see. But yeah, there definitely was a program to help drive Teams phone. So it's, a lot of the same stuff that we thought we were going to see. Obviously AI, there were some big announcements that we weren't expecting with the like the Bing Chat Enterprise, and then having the Copilot announcement of the dollars, and then seeing some of the other AI products with like Vision and some of the other things that it's doing with data and bringing together data sources. But yeah, Teams, communication. So Teams Voice. You can definitely see that Microsoft's still going after all of those workloads. Security is still going to be really, really big, and wrapping security. Even Security Copilot, they did have in the keynote talking a little bit more about Security Copilot. I'm excited to see more about Security Copilot and see what they eventually do with that.
Oh, I'm really excited. Yeah, there was a session on Security Copilot that was pretty cool. Seeing that, so I'm excited as well to see where that goes. Being a security guy. Before I forget, and I put a link here on the window and on the screen. Microsoft talked about, and I haven't seen them talk about this in years past, unless I missed it, but MSIM. So MSIM stands for Microsoft Customer Engagement Methodology. And for the last few years at Microsoft, this is how the sales teams execute selling with customers. So there's a whole strategy here and multiple phases, and it's an approach that the sales teams have. And so it's now interesting seeing Microsoft take that out to partners and sharing, hey, this is Microsoft's internal process and how we sell. Here's where partners can plug into that. And so everybody watching, go look at this. Please read up on it. Now, what's interesting, when you go to this website, you'll see the wheel there, the pie of the different stages of MSIM. And we might even do a session or a blog and explain what some of those are at some point. Too much for today. But if you click on these tabs, this is where you can download the new playbooks. So Microsoft has been doing practice playbooks for years, and I've always enjoyed these. In fact, I remember back in the day at the in-person events, they would have printed copies of these, and they would be hundreds of pages. Now you can download as a PDF. But if you download some of these, there's one for modern work, security, biz apps, infrastructure. But if you download these playbooks, it helps you understand, here's the foundation to building your practice, and here's how you can go out and execute on selling whatever it is. So like I'm looking at modern work right now. Here's where they talk about aligning with the Microsoft priorities, aligning with the Microsoft solution plays, and basically integrating with that MSIM process. So this is really awesome. So if you get some time, if you're watching this, please go out and read up on this. We might do a session on it because there's a lot of content here. But for me, during the Modern Work pre-day, and they even talked about it a little bit during Inspire, they mentioned solution plays a lot. And I haven't seen them mention it in years past, unless I've missed it. But solution plays is even an internal thing at Microsoft. So now being able to see that, okay, they're sharing that with partners, they want partners to plug into it, that's huge. So now you can go align. So we talked about like, hey, go follow the money. Well, also go follow the solution plays, because that's Microsoft's priority. So, like in the security world, for me, there's 100 security products, but there's only 3 to 5 solution plays. That's what they're prioritizing this year. Same with biz apps, same with Azure, same with data and AI. So that was exciting to see that that they shared that. So please, if you have some time, go take a look at that.
Hey man, I was just looking through my notes, and you brought up Windows 365 earlier, and we've talked to a lot of people about what the opportunity is that we see there. In Windows 365, ABD, even Citrix, right? There's huge announcements with this virtual desktop world. But there were some sessions around Windows 365 Frontline, which I know was announced maybe a month before Inspire. But that was something that you wrote a blog about and are posting on LinkedIn or something. But I know you got really excited about Frontline because like that's what we use, right? We use Windows 365 internally. We do some Frontline with some of the contractors that we have and giving them access. But what do you think the opportunity there is when Windows 365 Frontline?
Oh, it's huge. So I'll probably get some flack for this, but Windows 365 can be expensive depending on who you are. And so if you have frontline workers that maybe only need to log into a computer for a couple hours a day, maybe 8 hours a day, maybe 5 hours, whatever it is, maybe they're shift based. Well, giving them a dedicated Windows 365 cloud PC could be a little too expensive, right? It may not make sense. With Windows 365 Frontline Worker, it allows you to have a single cloud PC, but it's a shared resource. So if Justin is only going to be working from 9 to noon, he gets access from 9 to noon. Matt comes in from noon to 3. Matt gets access from noon to 3. So it's now shared. It's more cost effective. So that's a huge deal when you start thinking about the shift-based workers that need a asset to log into to do their job, access data, interact with apps. Rather than having a dedicated cloud PC, you can now make that a pool or a shared resource. So making things a little cheaper and easier to execute on. So that's a big deal.
Seems like every hotel needs that. Because they've got shift workers and
totally.
But I don't know if everybody knows this, but you do get 5 licenses of Windows 365 Cloud PC if you have the Modern Work Solution designation. So if you're not familiar with it, just go play with it. You get it for free if you've got that designation. That's probably one of the easier designations to get. If you can't get it, call us. We'll help you. There's easy ways to do it.
Yep.
The other thing that was the big announcement was, I don't know if it's a huge announcement for all the partners, but just that Microsoft US is now Microsoft Americas, right? And LATAM and Canada coming together. And Nina Harding's now running the whole thing. Well, really, Nina's running the whole partner program, but Deb Cupp's taking over all of Americas. But I think this will be good for everybody because, hey, we're going to get to take some best practice from Canada and LATAM and kind of pull everything together into one Americas group. So we'll see how things continue to evolve. I know there's some great leaders that came from the other Canada and LATAM who are coming in to help take over as the breadth of partners is definitely getting a little bit bigger throughout. So another big announcement that they had made. Yeah.
And I'm kind of excited. You and I were pinging each other back and forth about this during the event. We'll find out more when the incentives team releases more information, probably I would imagine around September, because incentives usually go from October to October. So when we think about previous incentives for Microsoft 365 and CPOR, it's been milestone based. You give them about 15% utilization, you get paid, about 40%, you get paid. They did hint at that might be transitioning to more monthly active usage.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So when we heard that, we're like, what? And Justin and I are pinging each other. So I'm looking forward to hearing more. They were kind of vague about it, which makes sense, right? Because the incentive programs, they never say anything around Inspire. They always talk more about it in September anyway. But that's going to be a big deal if that ends up being true.
Yeah, so 15 and 40% milestones no longer. Also, the other big incentive shift was on the dynamic side where they said that the OSU incentives, or at least the OSU program for Dynamics 365 will be going away, which I thought was interesting. So, but again, going away, but then what are they going to release? So we'll see. They said that they're going to release the new incentive guide in August for September preview and then launch October 1st. So I am excited to see some of these things. They did say, like with the usage on Microsoft 365 side, that there's going to be fewer workloads that they're going to pay out on, but they're going to pay out 10x what they've paid out in the past. So I'm excited to see what those are. But security was definitely part of it. I think there was some telephony stuff that was part of it as well. So I'm sure there's going to be a Copilot, and we'll see as active usage with Copilot comes up.
Before I forget, you mentioned Copilot and security. So I'm going to put a link here. Oh gosh, it's going to be kind of long. You might want to just go out there and do a search. So one of the announcements they made was the Security Copilot Design Advisory Council. So for any partners out there that are interested in building solutions powered by Security Copilot, you can sign up on this form and start engaging with the engineering teams on that as they start to release that capability. So, if you're watching, you do security, maybe you're a security ISV, go sign up on this form, and that's a good way to start engaging with the engineering team on leveraging Security Copilot in your app or in your solution. The other AI announcement that was interesting was AIM, and I'm looking at my notes, but unfortunately I didn't write down what it's Accelerate, Innovate, and Move. And let me see if I can find the URL here. Here it is. And this was around dynamics. I don't know if Eric is still watching or if we have any other dynamics folks watching, but this was a big one. It sounds like there were some announcements around AI, but it has something to do with dynamics and migration. I'm not quite sure, but might be something worth looking into. Again, ton of announcements, ton of news.
So Eric asking here, you guys know if the Microsoft Americas approach will result in any changes for U.S. partners to be able to support clients in other countries in the Americas? That's a good question, Eric. I mean, as far as like reselling, I remember like the CSP portal was for North America, but you had to get authorization to sell into Canada. And the authorization usually started with, you've got to have a location there. So I don't know if it's going to make any change. I haven't heard of that. It's something we can certainly ask. But my guess is going to be that you're still going to have a location in those other geographies to be able to sell there. But we'll see. I mean, it's definitely worth asking the Microsoft team.
Yeah. Hey, I think it's worth mentioning too, just on the name change of the partner program now with AI infused here and being introduced. If you're a partner, you don't do AI, I would encourage you don't feel excluded, right? Just the name. Now, if you don't do AI, maybe consider it. There's probably an opportunity for anybody to do something with AI, but don't let the name change discourage you. Again, welcome to Microsoft. Names do change frequently, unfortunately. It's still the partner program at its heart.
Yeah.
All right. We could probably go all day, but as we wrap up here, anything from you, Justin?
Well, as we sat through the keynote, especially, we did pre-day and then we did keynote. What I will say is that, I was going into it kind of, I don't know how to feel. Another Inspire that's, I don't get to go see all my friends, and it's not the real in-person thing, but especially the pre-day and the keynote really got me jazzed. I mean, probably more so than many of the other Inspires that I can even think of, about the true opportunity that there is for partners. I really believe that the AI opportunity is going to create generational wealth for a lot of people. And I think that we're in the right place at the right time as a partner community to go take advantage of that. So I'm really excited about the announcements that were made and the opportunity that's going to be here for partners. And I just think it's one of those things, like, just keep throwing stuff out there. Just, go create something, go use some of the APIs that Microsoft now created, go create a AI vision app to put into the marketplace and see what happens with it. Come up with some different things that you guys, you don't know if it's going to stick, but just try it. I think this is the time to do that. What were your final thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, I kind of similar. I wish we could have done something in person, but watching the sessions, I still got a lot out of it, especially the pre-day. I have some sessions I want to go back and rewatch because I didn't capture everything, and there's some other sessions I might want to go out and watch that I didn't watch. But for me, it's around the opportunity with AI, and it's around, if you're a services partner and you're an MSP for your customer, and you do just kind of IT infrastructure, how can AI allow you to grow that relationship with the customer by helping them do something with a business outcome? If you're an ISV, how can integrating AI into your app help you have that deeper relationship with your customer and build that stickiness? If you're just a consulting provider, can you go out and advise your clients on AI and how to approach it for their business problems? So I think there's a huge opportunity here. Again, having spent 11 years at Microsoft, I know where things go, and I know where the investments are being made. And so when they talk about AI, and they even rename the partner program to AI, this is where things are going. This is where Microsoft is putting the money. And so as a partner, you want to start thinking about how do you also adapt to that, so you can take advantage of the programs and take advantage of the relationships and further strengthen that. So for me, that was my big takeaway. But I really appreciate everybody joining us here this morning. I was only intending this to be about maybe 20 minutes. We went for almost an hour, so that's okay. We do get to talking, but really appreciate it. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you again next time.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.